Mr. Bentz, you have the next amendment designated number 7 to the ANS, and you're recognized, sir, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And on page 55 of the, as it's called, the bill, that which we are debating today, we find a reference to the endangered species recovery plans, $150 million going toward that. And then in the next section, endangered species habitat conservation. And then the next paragraph, we have Endangered Species Act interagency consultations. And consistent with the activities and perhaps supplemental to and adding more detail, which it certainly needs, is my amendment number 7. This amendment would preserve the critical habitat reduction for the northern spotted owl that was published in January to allow an increase in forest restoration projects, create jobs, and protect the northern spotted owl from catastrophic wildfire. Under the last administration, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service issued a rule to right-size the habitat for the northern spotted owl by reducing fractionally the habitat that the owl enjoys, if that's the right word for it, Mr. Chair, because of course the owl is having a great deal of time competing against the barred owl in those spaces. It's also having an incredibly difficult time in protecting itself against these catastrophic wildfires. And we enjoyed, if that's the right word for it, I don't think enjoy is the right word for it, but we watched the backdrop in your temporary chair's video of the fires that are destroying huge chunks of California. And Mr. Chair, what we're trying to do, of course, is get into the forest and try to reduce the damage that's being done by these fires. This amendment would protect the owl and others in those forests by allowing treatment in literally 1 million acres of space that previously was set aside for the owl, but actually resulted in putting the owl at greater risk. So what's happening is this amendment, my amendment, would stop the archaic approach to species management, which currently designates large swaths of critical habitat, even though this damages the very species it's trying to protect. Mr. Chair, this amendment helps not only communities, but also the endangered species involved in the northern spotted owl, and I would urge your aye vote. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Anyone else wish to be recognized on Mr. Bentz's amendment number designated number 7?
Chair, it's Westerman.
Mr. Westerman, sir, you're recognized.
Mr. Chair, I'll support Representative Bentz's amendment. This is common sense and it follows science, as the Fish and Wildlife Service has already proven that declining spotted owl populations are a result of barred owl competition and the loss of habitat due to wildfires, not because of sustainable timber harvesting. In fact, Fish and Wildlife's own recovery plan points to the need for active forest management. Yet management restrictions from critical habitat designations have made it difficult for federal land managers to implement forest thinning and other activities to reduce further habitat loss from wildfire. I have to wonder if 30 years ago, if somebody might have sit in this room and said, you know, if you stop doing management on the federal lands, you're going to hurt the spotted owl instead of help the spotted owl. You know, they're not around that I'm aware of. If they even did say that, to say I told you so. But surely somebody looked at it back then and thought, we're going to make this situation worse than we're making it better. Just like as we're looking to the future, the policies that are out there now are going to make wildfires worse than better, which is going to make habitat, not just for the spotted owl, but for many other species, worse and not better. Just like today, we can look back in history and say, we messed up. We stopped managing forest and we destroyed habitat that could benefit the spotted owl. And Mr. Bentz is trying to correct that with this amendment. So if you care about the science, if you care about endangered species, if you care about doing the right thing, I think you will support this amendment. But if you want to just continue playing the political game with the environment, then don't vote for his amendment. And, you know, 20 or 30 years from now, when possibly all of us are not here anymore, somebody might look back and wonder, did somebody say, you know, this was a bad decision at the time? Let's make a good decision. Let's do something that's actually good for the environment and good for the species that enjoy that forested environment. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Any further discussion? Hearing no further debate. The question is on the Bentz Amendment number 7 to the ANS. Members in favor can please unmute and indicate by saying aye.
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 Those members opposed, please unmute and indicate by saying no.
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 The opinion of the chair is the noes have it, and the amendment is not agreed to.